Alrighty, y'all. So we're gonna get started on today's Harmony Workshop, Creation Stories with Genealogy Resources, week 3. I know that we've missed one. Okay, I know that we've missed one, but that was a few weeks ago, and I know that you guys are wondering where have I been this week for the other 2 workshops, but I had to take a little bit of respite. I was more so focusing on my anime art, to be honest with you guys. I released one of my animes today, actually. So I want you guys to go ahead over to my YouTube, check that out, and also my Instagram. You can check it out there as well. And happy full moon, everybody. Happy full moon. Okay. I'm going to give a big thanks to Tavis for our workshop from last week, which was just amazing, amazing, amazing response, amazing education, amazing tools. He was filled with so much information. Thank you to his mother as well, Renee Sanders. She's a wealth of knowledge that she's clearly passed on to her son, and she's really empowered him. And I want to give her a shout out because, like he said, she put him on that journey of self-discovery. So, okay, like always, like, share, subscribe. Um, these particular workshops for this month have been made public, and that was because on the website today, I also posted on my WordPress the replays. And so the replays have a donation where you can donate $22.22 to purchase that replay. I understand these are available. I keep saying these are donation tiers, okay? These are just multiple ways that you can contribute, and I'm not gatekeeping any information. I want to make it accessible for people because I know this information can otherwise change people's lives, right? But also, as a celebration, before I put all of the workshops back as unlisted, except for the month of May, because the month of May has the workshops in particular that I want to be really focused on for awareness. So I'm going to leave those public, but the other ones will not be public. So that means March and April. So March and April, they will be going back to unlisted on June 1st. I made them public today so that people can get a scope of all the different educational the tools that have been available. I'm absolutely shocked. We've done so many videos. Like I said, this has been 3 months. Next week is the last week of this particular cohort of workshops and everything. Upcoming workshops that we have, I'm going to be doing one in a couple of weeks with Vanessa M. I'm also going to do one on Sudanese awareness with Yusra. So I really want to bring awareness to like the conflicts that are going on. And I also want to teach you guys from a standpoint of someone that's really an expert. So I'm going to create a space for that as well. And also, guys, let's convince Warbucks. Let's do a master class on this photography, okay? Work with me on this, okay? Okay, and yeah, I think that's really it. Other than that, make sure you guys go check out my website. That is amethystlist.wordpress.com. All things Amethyst Amaris, from the lyrics, the merch, the replays, everything is there. Then Tropic of Qualia is the AI website. So that is all of the AI content, more all the animes, all of that is going, but it is in mature content only. So don't go there if you're a kid. Yeah, or immature. And also, we have Panacea Cafe platform, which has been around since 2013, and it is an introspective tool platform that I'm very thrilled that we've been an amazing resource for so many people for so many years. So go ahead and you can check out that blog, or you can also check out that Facebook page, because on that Facebook page is where we'll be covering a lot of stuff, and where we have been covering a lot of stuff that we talk about in this workshop and in these workshops in general when it comes down to migrations, forced migrations, colonialism, and just switching things up in the world, in regards to food forests, food regenerative forests, and things like that as well. Um, I'm going to get this started. This workshop is going to be very different than our regular workshop. Okay. 1 second. But it's going to be a little different because what we're going to do is the live process. We are going to do all of the live things. Like I said, I wanted to be able to show people how they can look at their ancestry as well. And by doing that is by example. So you guys are going to get to witness everything on here. One second, I'm just setting up shop. Stories, Fifth House of Creativity, Ink Harmony Workshops, May Thursdays with Genealogy Resources. And today's episode is called The Tree. All right. And this is where I will be showing you guys my family tree. Um, I was trying to meditate on how I can do this in a way that's not exposing anybody's business. So we will edit certain things out if I deem it to, exploitative or the word, if it exposes too much. So this was what I showed last week um, for the workshop with Tavis. This is who I am doing these particular workshops for and everything for, These are just some of my ancestors. Some I got to meet and some I was just too young to meet. Okay. Very, very proud. I've always, 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 always loved my people. Okay. Today, let's look at my tree and some ship manifests. Okay. So first what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a particular ship manifest that I found. So this one is for Andrew Colville. And I found this in my shoebox on Ancestry. And I'll go into it and I'll show you why I was looking into this in the first place. So, like always, one of the things is a lot of times when we get to know certain aspects, we talk about it. But there's certain things that I just don't fully understand yet. So I don't get a right to talk about it until I know. That's how I just typically feel about things. Um, so, anyways, here we go. I want you to look at this shit manifest. And I want you to notice something, okay? And it says, I'm not sure what this word is that's right here. Maybe throughout the document, I'll be able to see what the other word is, okay? If you guys are able to read what this particular word is right here, African, let me know if you know. But I know right here in these slave papers, okay, what you will notice is in this category it says African, right? And then it has remarks, and then it has age, and then it has color. Sorry, it's jumping everywhere. The document's a little sporadic. Okay, so I want us to look at this. Um, from our workshop last time, we spoke about the color, okay, of somebody and being lumped into the African population when they're not actually African. Okay, so I want us to kind of like look at this. Now, again, like I said, I don't know what this word means, okay, but I can take it from this list right here, okay, that this would be a place of like what type are they supposed to be, okay, because this is a ship manifest, this is like a receipt, so what type they would be. So we're seeing here that we have some listed as African, some as Creole, okay, and then we're also having some that are listed as well, oops, sorry again, as a few other things. I'm noticing other words in here as well, not just Creole and not just African. But why would they be saying that, right? Um, yeah, as certain parts say, we can kind of see. And I'll leave this document in this presentation, of course, so you guys can check it out. Maybe you're able to see stuff that I'm not able to see when I pull these documents up, because that's the thing about it. This is a collective effort, But this sheet in particular, literally look at this, how they're describing the colored people, Negro, Sambo, mulatto. Um, it's just nuts to me. Creole, like here, then what are they? What are we dealing with here? Okay. So I wanted to show you guys this example to kind of let you guys see it, What does this mean? Okay. And then on top of it, what we're gonna do is we're gonna look at the names here. This is something even more interesting. And what I did was I inputted this document into the AI to kind of ask it, like, what's going on here? Like, what's with this document, right? The ship manifest. And I'll show you what it says next, right? But I want you to look at these names. You would think when we hear particular names, okay, where we would think those are slave names, okay? I want to teach you something, okay? Very seldom did these people have slave names, okay? These are what we call native names. These are Indian names. And I can tell you this because I have looked at the 1832 document where, and I can even pull that up today with the Cherokee names. And these aren't enslaved individuals. Most of these people were free persons of color on this list, and they had all the exact type of names. These are Indian names. My name's Red Eagle. Okay, we have different names. Okay, they just could be perceived differently. One of my great great grandparents, his name is King Kid, and his son is Rich Kid. Okay, so could be perceived those are slave names. No, they're indigenous, and these are their Indian names. Okay, they have different meanings. Okay, so here we have Comanche coffee. We have uh, Creole jammy. Okay, Creek Creek Tom. Okay, all right, and the one in particular that we're going to be looking at, Big Rodney. Okay, now something that I learned with the story of Ray Charles was that Ray Charles came up in a time period where there's many blind singers. Minstrel genre started with blind singers. If they had a person that was with disabilities and they couldn't work them in the field, they would work them as entertainment. And so this person would go ahead and most of the time have some form of disability, and that disability would go first and then their name. So Ray Charles, he was actually very, very prolific and amazing and powerful in the way where he went ahead and said, "You're not going to call me Blind Ray. You're going to call me Ray Charles. I'm just like any other person," right? Um, I say that to say that they would call people Big Tom, big things like that, because they were a product. Okay. They were a product. Um, okay. So that's why also when we are navigating things with our artist names, right, as creatives, as people of color, let's just also be careful with the discussion of little baby, little this, big that. Remember, there is a history within the slave Atlantic trade that causes those things, okay? But then there's also, let's remember that it's not just slave names. These are actually names that our ancestors have actually passed down for hundreds of years, millennia before any colonizers came. So both things can be true. One, we can be enabling an insult of a history that has a lot of profound pain. We can be enabling that in certain words and certain names that we use and nicknames that we use. Okay. But then we also are paying homage to our ancestors when we are using these particular names. So I want people to kind of think about that as well. When you sit back and you think about your favorite artist nickname or your least favorite artist nickname, you're like, I don't like his name. I don't know why he's going by that. Papoose, for example, people that know the origins of that name could be pretty offended by it, right? Um, but at the end of the day, it's the same way if my grandpa, what he did. My grandpa used to call me little Indian baby or little black Indian baby. That's just, I was his Indian baby. So um, I wanted to show you guys this so you guys can kind of get a little perspective. And then look at this name here, Big Sam. So Big Sam is who we in particular are looking at and looking after. Now, with what Tab has taught us last week in mind, okay, about when we see African is remember that they're talking about a type of stock, not an actual place. Because like as you see here, I said like this category African, what is that word that's right there? I'm just reading this and I'm trying to see because the thing about this particular shift manifest was that these people have been moved around many, many times, and you're going to see that when we start to look through the paperwork. Oops. Okay. So let's read what the chat GPT. I didn't ask Harmony GPT about this. I wanted to ask the chat GPT about this. Harmony GPT isn't really designed on these type of topics as of yet. So it's something that I wanted to train the GPT itself on. Okay. The document you provided, and this is it replying to my document, okay? The document provided is indeed an interesting and poignant piece of history. It lists enslaved individuals with their names, ages, and other characteristics. Here's a detailed look at the contents and the nuances you pointed out. Okay. So I was asking it, like, why is it using all these different terms, right? So, terminology and categories. Negro, this term is used across various individuals without clear differentiation between those who might have different ethnic backgrounds or origins. It reflects the homogenization of diverse groups into a single category based on skin color. Creole, historically, this term what has been used to describe people of mixed European or and African descent, particularly in the Caribbean and Louisiana. However, has also been used variably. And in this document, it appears alongside Negro, which raises questions about how these categories were applied. Okay. African, this term is used frequently, indicating that the document might be more focused on the perceived Negro identity rather than specific ethnic origins. Okay. So again, they're not focused on where these people really came from. They're focused on the fact that these are just Black cargo. That's basically what they're saying. So, racial categorization. The document does seem to lump all dark skinned individuals into a broad Negro category, which could include African, African American, and possibly dark skinned Indigenous people. This practice was common in historical documents as a means of simplifying and enforcing racial hierarchies. Now, again, we've always been very, very careful with using the terms African, African American, and dark skinned Indigenous people. I want you to note that the AI is saying this, and I agree with the AI saying this. So that's why I'm showing this to you that there are African, African American, and darker skinned Indigenous people. Okay. But I want us to remember, okay, people do come from Africa. It is a real place. Okay. But there are people that are darker skinned that are indigenous to several different continents around the world. Okay. And it is a colonial apparatus like Russell Means, the late and great Russell Means has taught us that if you go ahead and you clump all of us in, it is an act of genocide. Okay. The distinction between Negro and Creole might reflect attempts to recognize mixed ancestry, but still emphasizes a racial binary. Observation of light skinned individuals. It's notable that lighter skinned individuals are often categorized differently or noted with additional details, which might imply a different social status or different origins in the eyes of the record keepers. Remember, we talked about this last week and the week before, enumerators. A lot of these people have their own biases and they're coming in with their own thought process and everything. Enslaved individual skills. The document mentions various skilled positions. Okay, example, cook, reflecting that many enslaved people were valued for their specific talents and labor. Family connections. Notations like mother indicate family relationships among the enslaved, which is critical for understanding the social structure and personal histories of these individuals, reflecting on paper genocide and historical context. Paper genocide refers to the deliberate misclassification or erasure of Indigenous peoples' identities through documentation. This document reflects such practices by failing to recognize the diverse origins and identities of the people listed, using generalized terms that obscure specific ethnic identities, potentially misclassifying Indigenous people as African or Negro based on skin color alone. Conclusion, This document you found is a stark reminder of how racial and ethnic identities were manipulated in historical records to serve colonial and enslaving interests. By homogenizing diverse peoples into broad categories, this these records contributed to the erasure of specific cultural and ethnic identities, which is a form of paper genocide. Recognizing these practices is essential for understanding the true histories and identities of the people affected. If you're tracing your family history, examining these documents critically and understanding the context of these classifications can provide deeper insights into your ancestors' lives and identity. Found while I was looking up Andrew Colville. And one of the things that I did was I searched particular words. So, what you'll do is when you were picking up your PDF books and you're finding these history books, you're going to go over to find and edit, and then you're going to click find. And then if you want to read the whole thing, go ahead. It's 257 pages. Not all of the information is really even information. A lot of it is just citation. So what I do is I'll search the information and then I'll read the chapters with the information that I want. Okay, so in particular, Seminoles was the topic that I wanted to look up. So, The Many Faces of Slavery, New Perspectives on Slave Ownership and Experience in the Americas, edited by Lawrence Age. I hope I'm saying your name correctly, and Catherine Armstrong. Hope I'm saying your name correctly because maybe it's Catherine Armstrong. Who knows? Okay. So, our case that of the Black Seminoles in Florida is especially hard because it doesn't fit into any standard classification. No existing term adequately captures the relationship between Seminole and Black. The conventional Black Seminole implies that these people were Seminoles who happened to be Black. This was not the case. They were not integrated into an all important clan system, nor they participate in the annual social and religious cycle culminating in the Green Corn Dance. They dressed like Seminoles and allied with them in fights against a common enemy, but they lived apart, had their own codes of behavior, their own beliefs and rituals. The term maroon has been applied, but it too misses the mark by ignoring the fact that the Blacks were, as recognized by everyone at the time, owned by the Seminoles, Seminole Negroes. The term most commonly used at the time, but best describes the relationship because it implies ownership by the Seminoles, but the word Negro has fallen out of favor in recent years. Seminole freedmen applies only to their post-removal status in the Indian Territory after emancipation following the Civil War. To my knowledge, these people had no collective term for themselves before they recognized it into political bands in Oklahoma. And so we are left with a host of unsatisfactory alternatives. Choosing one over another also suggests a particular perspective on the subject, a choosing of sides, polarizing rather than unifying the discussion. Having said this, I will use Black Seminoles here because it is the most widespread, both popularly and in scholarship within the last 50 years. So just a little like brief intro of how this particular writer perceives what is a Black Seminole. If we were to then ask somebody like myself or other people that their family is this, and who knows, maybe this individual, their family is, we would say, were they separate? Were they actually something separate? And I do want to have another conversation with Tavis because something that we did discuss was Seminole is not really a real tribe. Okay, it's not really a real tribe. There are variations. There are many people that come within this. There's a particular word, I don't want to use the wrong word, but it is the same thing like when we speak about the Cherokee, is the same thing when we speak about the Blackfoot, is that a lot of these tribes came together to create something. Same with the Choctaw. Okay. Parish distribution of compensation claims for Jamaica. Okay, so it's so funny. I was watching this one episode. It wasn't funny, but it was funny. I was watching this one episode of Who Do You Think You Are? And this guy went to Jamaica looking for land, and he ended up getting a big hefty fine of reparations because his ancestor was a slaveholder. there are reparations going on around the world and in many places where the colonizers came in and affected our people. So I wanted to also let you guys know that the numbers are here. Throughout our research, we will continue to pull up many names. So again, here we are with the tree, da, 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 the family tree. Let's close this bad boy down here. Okay, so my grandmother just actually passed a few months ago, right before we started this workshop. So um, I kind of feel comfortable now showing my family tree a little bit, you know, because I'm like, I don't want to put all her business out there, but she doesn't care anymore. She's put her business out there before she passed. Okay, so I want to show you guys my family tree and the differences, okay? So let's start. My dad here, born in Kansas, and my mother born in Winnipeg, okay? Indian Territory all the way through, okay? So my dad, okay, remember our little discussion and our what we talked about in that one presentation with how many grandparents and how many great grandparents and direct ancestors we have. So we're going to be doing that. Also, when you're looking at this, please know that these are short forms of names on Ancestry. When you use Ancestry, you have to put every single, like here, for example, every name possible so that the information for that person pops up. It does not mean that that's that person's name. It just means that this is what the paperwork constantly shows for that person. Hopefully Ancestry finds a better way, but so far this is the way that makes it work. So my dad and his father, okay? So this is his dad, okay? And he's born in Oklahoma and 1932. Okay, he passed 1995 when I was just a little baby. And this is my grandma. She passed just a few months after I was born. Okay, and I never got a chance to meet her. And she actually she hid my existence to my grandpa. She wasn't the nicest, apparently, of people, but I love her still, even though I don't know her. So this is where we are going to explore this section of her family before we get into my mom and her family. As you can see, my mom is mixed. We have a white person in her family. You guys will never hear me ever downplay these individuals in my family. I am never, ever once ever been ashamed of who I am in my life, ever. I think I'm a great person. I think swell. And I may be related to people. I may have DNA from people. Their actions do not define me, though. Their beliefs do not define me. All I do know is that I'm related to these people. And so they are part of my story. They are part of my creation story. And I love them nonetheless for that. Okay, so here we are. So my grandpa, all I knew was about his mom. Camilla is the name that was given to us, and which is not her name. As you can see, her name is actually Camilla. Her name was put wrong on the grave. Okay. How about we go check Camilla out? So let's look. She's from Alabama. Okay. She passed in Florida because of the paperwork. I have not had her picture yet. Fingers crossed. I think I actually just recently met a family member through these here workshops, actually. So hopefully, maybe that person might have a photo. As you can see, I have no pictures of her, but I do have some hints and paperwork. So ancestry stuff, things like, her social security information that's on there, the census information. Census is always really good. As you can see, each of these census all have the name listed very differently. As you can see, her husband, whose name is Charles Hayes, he's being called Chase in some of these, right? He's called Glenn in some of them. He is a person that was in the army, so, and as you can see, so many different versions of the name, so many different versions. And you have to kind of like say, okay, what would they accidentally call you? An enumerator, because imagine these enumerators and you have a Southern drawl, like they ain't paying no attention to you. So let's look at her parents, okay? So Passy, this is my second great grandmother, and we do have a picture of her, okay? And here we go. Something really, really cool We can check out her hints. See, we have lots more hints for her. Okay. We have lots of hints. We have some pictures, some really great people on Ancestry have posted about her. As you can see, she has many different names as well. And apparently, from speaking to somebody else on the Ancestry, it is believed that she had kids with two different individuals. So we'll see. We'll still find out. We will soon find out. Let's check out the facts because I thought something that was really, really interesting. So we have here Cheney James, and this is like the name that she'd be listed as, right? So I want you kind of start to familiarize yourself with these names, okay? Now, a lot of times kids are like, oh, why do you need cursive? This is why you need cursive, so you'll be able to read these kind of things and these types of sentences. I want you to start looking at these names, okay? We have very similar names that are always going to keep popping up. This is a work census. Another one, let's check out this one. So here she's living alone. So she's living alone. Okay, now remember what we just said. Okay, 1956 is when my dad was born. Okay, now look at this right here. She lived in this dwelling right here in Oklahoma. Okay, until her passing. And I want you now to look at this. What name is this? Okay, Carl Wright. Okay, Patsy Kid. Okay, again, Ivan Wedlow, Carl Wright, Homer Wright. Okay, 17. Now, if you guys know my family history, what this explains to you is literally my grandfather. Okay, he was put into these white people's hands. Okay, and he was moved and shipped around and all types of things. And then in his teenage years, he was on the streets, he got into the army and everything. And then here, he caught up with his grandmother. Okay, and he lived by her. Okay, now here, we're looking at these names. Okay, right? And this is 1950. Okay, my dad's born 6 years after this. Okay, awesome. Well, this brought me over to my grandpa. Okay, so anyways, y'all, this is the kind of like searching that we do. So that is Passy, that is Camilla, and now we're back at my grandpa. I think I want to check out Charles. First, let's check out Camilla. You know what? Let's go to the family tree because on the family tree, you'll see what I'm going to refer to. Okay. Now, a lot of times what ends up happening is we end up forgetting individuals when we get to this point because here we are. We have Richard Kidd. Okay. And then Camilla is not the first Camilla. This is the first Camilla. Okay. This is the first one. So she's here and she is with King Kidd. And this is my brick wall. Okay. He is my biggest brick wall right now. And I can't take him back. But guess what? I can take these individuals back all the way to William the Kid, the pirate. The pirate? Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. So here, so you can see, here is my family's. Okay. And we can pull that one in, and that is Rich Kid's family. Now let's head over to Passy's family. Okay. So Passy's family, more brick walls. Okay. Lots of brick walls, lots of brick walls. And the thing is I have a lot of information about these particular individuals saved, a lot saved, but not yet saved to my tree. There is a lot of understanding that I need to have first to include certain people. But I'm not saving anyone to my tree until I like really, 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 really do my research. But all of these names you will find are on a lot of these shipped manifests and not shipped manifests from Africa. It's literally them going back and forth from the States to Jamaica to Puerto Rico to even being sent up to Nova Scotia, where they claim no slavery was happening, right? And then here we go in Alabama, Phoebe threat James. Now, Phoebe, she's my third great grandmother, but psychically, I was seeing her since I was a kid. I could see her before I ever saw her picture. Okay, let's check out her picture. I love her so much. And as you can see, their last name is Threet, but it is Threat. Okay, Threet is a polite way to say it. Okay, here we go. Beautiful. Very, very beautiful. Okay, so that is again, and we end up taking her back as far as we can take it. We have lots of brick walls. Um, and like I showed you, like here, we have rich kid, his family here, the enslaved individual, and this person is an enslaved individual's child. Okay, this person right here is a slaveholder. So let's go into this. Okay, fourth great grandfather. Okay, now I want you guys to take a note of some of the information that's saved. Okay, see, enslaved, enslaved. So there is a lot of kind of like holes in the information that we have because this we are not sure uh, who the mother is. So there is an entire family line. So here, this person is just conveniently being listed here to kind of give some type of understanding around it. But again, a lot of stuff I'm going to be going to Oklahoma to figure out myself because a lot of this paperwork will be there. Okay, so even though these people, most of these people are from Alabama, see, Louisiana, here we go. So, and now we will move to here. So Charles, okay, Hayes Glenn, he's the one I read his letter for the mining last week in that workshop. And as you can see here, his father is a brick wall, okay? Now I can show you guys, there's actually some paperwork that I found for a William Wright in this time period, but all the paperwork that I found is for an individual that's Cherokee for with his wife, as you can see here, we're going to check this out. Miley or Millie is, as you can see here, she is on the Freedman roll. Okay, she's considered adopted. Okay, but when you start to look in the history of who her family is, she's not adopted in. She's one of their kin. She was just separated. But when we look at the paperwork, right, we will see that it has her husband listed as a non-citizen, but we have to keep in mind this is the Creek Nation, and they had really strict rules to say, like, he's a non-citizen, he's not a Creek. So I'm not sure if that means he's just not a Creek or he's not a native. And so here, at the names and everything, this is Miley, and as you can see here, Charles, right here, okay, and town Canadian, slave of free, okay, and so they're on the done roll, and she is as here. So I would say Milo. So this is something I didn't think of before. We can save it as Milo for her name as well. So we can update that actually. We can update that. So for some of these forms, you'll see that there's a wealth of information on here on the back. The Choctaw papers aren't like this. The Creek papers are. So some of them might have a back, some of them might not. And as you can see here, it says here, Caesar Smith, okay? This is the name of father, okay? And so for him, he died, and here is father's owner, and then name of mother, Mary Caesar, okay? And then she's mother's owner, free, okay? There's a reason why that is, and I'll show you in a second. And then we have William Wright and non-citizen. Look, they just don't have any information for this guy, okay? It's like, what the heck? Why don't they have any information for him? But here, as you can see, I have all the Indian papers, all the land allotments and everything saved. And then let's go check out her parents, okay? So we have Mary Yarji, okay? Yarji, okay? Ooh, you know what? Let's add this to her name before we move along. So a quick edit would be Milo, okay? We didn't know that She's also considered a Milo. So, like I said, we save all of the names so that way we're able to get as much information as possible to spark the AI. The AI on this ancestry is really, really great. And a lot of information that wasn't easily available is now very easily available because of the integration. Okay. So now let's go ahead and look at her picture because so Mary Yarji is actually a slave, a slave of, okay? And then we'll be wrapping up the workshop, okay? Lucinda Yarji. Okay, so here we have Lucinda. Okay, what do these people look like to you? And then we have here John G. Smith. So I have these people's family trees saved. And the thing is I have their family tree saved because I'm realizing that those that I thought were brick walls were actually descendants of these people, and it was a cover up. The same way that for my grandmother on my mom's side, uh, for her, everyone on Ancestry thinks that this one particular person is her dad's dad. And before she passed this year, in the last 2 years, she's been like drilling into our heads that no, Thomas Patillo was my granddaddy. Okay. So that is, we got to listen to our old folks. We can't just be assuming that people are, don't know stuff. But here, John G. Smith and Lucinda Yargi. So I'm going to now go ahead and look through the right family tree. Okay. That I've created here. And I have my family tree public because I really do feel like it's an accountability thing. The same way that I say my astrology is public and I let people know about my chart, know who I am as a person too, like the people I come from. A lot of people hide who they come from because they owe a lot of reparations, but I need to hide who I come from. So here, this is Lucinda Yargi. Okay, so Miley was born from Mary. Okay, and Mary is Lucinda Yargi's slave. Okay. Now, who is Lucinda Yargi? From the Creek Nation. Okay. Let's go here. Enslaved person, Caesar Yargi, Mary Yargi's husband. Okay. And it could be that they weren't even married. It could just be the fact that they were paired together because they were sold off together for most of their lives. Okay. Okay. Different names. Very, very, very different names. Okay. There's so many names going on here. As you can see here, Philly Yargi. Their father is Caesar Yargi, father's owner, Lucinda Yargi, Mary Yargi, free person of color. And by free person of color, that typically means that she is either the enslaver's child or what. Okay, so here we have her listed as slave owner. Now let's check out who her father is. Okay, Captain Chakartha Yargi Cornells. Now, all this information isn't always 100% right. Some of this family tree stuff could be wrong. That is saved. We always have to double check. Captain Yargi. So let's check out these names. The Cornells, the Poya. So let's check out who and so here, look at the relation here. Look at these people are actually related to me because, yeah, like they are my family. So okay, grand uncle of wife of uncle of second grade. Like this is nuts to me. So this is Big Warrior. I mentioned him last week in the workshop. Okay. And so this is another one of the slave holders. Okay. So basically he passed his kids along. And here we will be able to look in his hints. Okay. He passed his slaves to his kids, right, in his will. Let's check out his will. And then we'll wrap up this here workshop. Okay. Okay, here we are. From the Mormon Genealogy Library, Norman Oklahoma, and thanks to Shirley Hall, Will of Big Warrior, George Washington Cornell was recorded in Orphans Court Record, Macon, Alabama. Okay, Macon City. Okay. In the name of God, amen. I, George Cornell, a half-breed Indian of the Creek Nation and town of Tuckabachi, Upper Creek, being at this time in bodily strength as well as possible of sound of mind and perfect understanding, but considering the uncertainty of human life at all times, but more so in advanced age, I have thought it advisable to make and ordain this my last will and testament, hereby revoking all wills heretofore made by me, and to dispose of my whole property in the following manner. Item after my death, I give and bequeath my son Suchi Cornell's one Negro boy named Cupid to my daughters Sathoki Cornell's one girl named Nuana. Now, again, okay, he will list saying Negro, okay, and that means darker tone, okay. Do not think African, think darker tone. And then if they're not of a darker tone, they won't be referred to by their color at all. Catch that, okay. So one girl named Nuana, to my daughter, I don't want to butcher her name. I'm not even going to try that. Cornell's one Negro, Sikh. See, it says, what is that? What? Who knows why that put there? Maybe she's sick. I don't know. I don't know. I'm gonna have to leave this open for you guys to give me interpretations as well. Okay, girl named Susie to my son Richard Cornell's one Negro boy named Jack to my daughter Thelani Cornell's one Negro girl named Jenny, to my daughter Liba Cornell's one Negro girl named Bess, to my son Susa Cornell's one Negro boy named Jack. I also leave to my children a forenamed the following Negro children, beginning at the eldest, and so on down, agreeable to their names in the will. Pompey to Suchi, Samuel to Satoki, Stephanie to Peter to Richard, Ben to Thlani, Harry to Liba, Tom to Susa, and I give and bequeath to my brother James Cornell one Negro boy named Ned. So these aren't grown people that they're giving. Okay, I want you guys to notice these are all children. Okay, I'm pretty sure that we would be able to find the list of the ages. Okay, and remember, like what we were saying in the last workshop, is slavery was a very regular thing, and he's just giving these people up. Okay. And now here, let's going on to the next paragraph. He got some more slaves. This man owned a couple hundred slaves. So, he was a chief. Okay. So again, like this article here was speaking about the many faces of slavery, like we've spoken about in the workshops last week. Okay, there was a slave system put in place before this transatlantic slave trade. Okay, so I don't want to get too much into this particular one, but I do want you to like notice like names like Little Doctor and stuff like that. Okay, again, so much information in these things. And so that is for Big Warrior. And just to give you guys a little context, let's look him up on Google. Big Warrior. Okay. When I'm telling you that there are historical figures in my family that like were considered powerful Creeks, okay, and they were slaveholders just as much, okay, and that is not to negate the colonial system. you know there are other systems that are put in place and power dynamics that are a huge issue at hand. Okay, what I want to do as well before we move along, okay, I wanted to show you where I got that slave manifest from. And that particular slave manifest came from me looking up a family member's name when I found them on the Hermitage slave plantation list, as one of the slaves of Andrew Jackson. I found out that this person was a popular Mason. And as you can see here, okay, this person was in enslaved by them. And then we're going to check out Andrew. Look how many people he had enslaved, okay? Look at the names though. This is what's really important is we have to remember that these names, okay, are not what we would call anglicized slave names, okay? What they are what we would call, so typewritten copy of the census of 1835, Cherokee Indians taken prior to removal, okay, to Indian territory. So I want you to take note of this, okay? Now, I'm going to read this part to you. It says here, this document presents items of information regarding the Cherokee families residing in Tennessee prior to the Indian removals. It includes the names of heads of families, only the number of persons in each family, degree of blood, education, occupation, and family possessions. Okay. Attention is called to the use of certain terms. Spinster means spinner, who one who spins. So remember, in 1901, they started to use the term spinster as a way to describe an old woman that doesn't have anybody around her, doesn't take care of everyone. It's a sacred role, actually. A person who spins, someone that makes the baskets, the everything, the person that makes the clothes, all of it. Okay, quadroon means one-fourth Indian blood and does not refer to Negro descent. Okay, Negro blood is indicated under the head of Negroes or mixed Negroes, and slaves were possibly Negroes, but the families were Indians of the Cherokee tribe. Okay, so I want you to take that into account as well. Okay, reservees were a limited group of Cherokees who received reservations. Farmers listed were over 18 years of age, unless otherwise stated. Each family had one farm. Okay, so I want to go through these different names, and I just want you to kind of look at them. Okay, they're gonna be funny. I look at this whenever I'm trying to get a good laugh. Okay, big dollar. Okay, okay, water lizard. Okay, spring frog. And I'm not going through this to make fun of it. I'm trying to teach you guys a little something, something. Okay, when we see these names here, okay, see that long list of slaves, and catch that we are going to start recognizing particular names of the same people over and over again. I know that we live in an age with millions and millions and billions of people, right? But we didn't have billions and billions of people. So typically when we see the same name for individuals over and over again, it's either their family or they're the same person, okay? So here we see 241 enslaved individuals, and the residence was in Jamaica, okay? And this residence date is 1870, okay? Now, we're going through the list of these Cherokee individuals, and you're going to start noticing a lot of the names are going to be very similar. This guy's name is Dirt Seller, okay, guys? Drowning Bear. How many times did you have to drown for that to become your name? Okay. Or Lucy Red Stick, Human Striker, pow pow. Yeah, I love these so much. Okay. Dick Timberlake. Anyone with the name Dick is hilarious to me. Okay. Okay. All right. So here, and I can leave this in the info too, because I think that this is a really great list, because if you are looking for your family members, it's really hard to find them when they are put in the paperwork like this. Literally, like, this is just crazy. Some of these names. Like, what did he do for his name to be Coal Eater? Okay. Guys, thank you so much for coming out for this particular workshop and this replay. I wanted to just kind of give you guys like a little view of what it's like to actually navigate looking through your ancestry. We're going to do it again next week, go through some more resources. I'm going to try to do a little bit more research on some of the stuff that I even found today. And I'll get back to you on some of the stuff. I'm very curious so what some of y'all's opinions will be about some of the things that we covered today and the feedback. But as always, thank you so much for coming out. Free Palestine, free Sudan, free Congo, free Yemen. Okay. All of this will be made available in the presentation in the link below. I'll stop sharing my screen. Like I said, I wanted to show you guys because it's a lot to say something, but when you actually get to see how difficult it is for one to navigate this paperwork because of how deliberately or even how ignorantly some people put down the paperwork, and they treated people as cattle, well, chattel, so um it's just extremely, it's sad, it's disheartening, but you can find your ancestors, you can find your people. And like I said, it's difficult to look at people listed like that. And there are other websites that I've even found that are actually reparation websites. And get looking into your people, because we don't realize how much these colonial things really affected us and how much it really trickles into our lives. Successful or not, blocked from opportunity or not, these things still have an effect on us, right? And once we get to know ourselves and get to know our identity, that's when we actually get to change things around and get to know our creation stories. As always, Chimigwech, thank you so much for coming out. Thank you for being part of this workshop. And I will see you next week for the last week of Harmony workshops for this particular cohort. It won't be the last of the workshops. I think that we've found something that we both really enjoy. So we'll stick to it, okay? Alrighty. Have a beautiful night.